Hey guys, I'm Michael.
I'm Jen.
And together we are
Wildly Graceful.
Today we're going to talk to you about our trip report to Sedona, Arizona, to the Rancho Sedona RV Park. Stay tuned. So we escaped the Phoenix heat. It was about 110. After like 100 and something, it just doesn't matter. 105, 110, 150.
It all feels the same.
It is all the same. So we needed a break and had a great trip planned up to Rancho Sedona RV Park, which is a really cool RV park right on the creek of Oak Creek, which runs all the way from Flagstaff all the way down through Sedona.
Yeah, it's just off Schnebly Hill Road.
Schnebly
Hill Road, right at the base of Tlaquepaque. So it's, they say it's walking distance to Tlaquepaque. Maybe not in the summer, but definitely in the spring, fall. or winter. Yeah, it's a great location. It is on the east side of Oak Creek Canyon, or Oak Creek, I should say. Very quiet, very peaceful.
Yeah, the RV park itself was really well maintained. We were in, it kind of has some really cool sections. They have a adults only section. It's a family show. It's not what you think. It just means there can be no kids in the campground associated with those trailers in that section. Then it has some really large spots. We saw some really very large rigs in there comfortably. Not like some of the other sites that we've been to.
Yeah, and if you look on the map for the park, there's campsites along the creek, both exactly along it and then across. There's a ton of space for turning around and backing in your camper. They're almost all back-in sites. Every single spot has a patio, a picnic table, and a little patch of grass. I personally liked where we were. We were campsite number 19. We were away from the creek. It's shaped kind of like a T. So if the creek was down here, we were up here in this section, and at the top is where the bathroom, showers, and laundry room are for the entire park, and that's it for the entire park. In the middle of our like cul-de-sac shaped campsite was a huge grass area with a huge barbecue, a bunch of tables, and then what they call a quiet circle, where there's benches around what looks like a fire pit, but there's no fire. It's kind of strange, but it's just a quiet spot. We arrived on Thursday. It was super quiet, like crickets quiet. And then Friday night, all the families rolled in. But I would say it was super quiet. There's hardly any kids at that resort. It is not a super kid-friendly resort, only because there's really nowhere for them to play except little patches of grass. There's no playgrounds. There's no pool. There is the creek.
There's a dog run.
Yeah, there's a badminton or volleyball court and a tetherball. But they're kind of off in the distance.
There's a laundry room in between the bathrooms. The bathrooms were really clean, really well maintained. Whole park, very well maintained.
Oh yeah, spotless.
As soon as a camper left, maintenance staff was there. They were raking the gravel.
Yeah.
They were wiping everything down, really sanitizing the site. So highly recommended for that. Reasonably priced in the $50, $55 range for full hookups right in Sedona, so it's kind of a bargain. If you were to look at even the Best Western in the Sedona area, you're probably at $169 and up. Resorts in the Sedona area can easily get into the $200-$300 a night, even in the winter, or I'm sorry, even in the summer. The other cool thing that I thought I really enjoyed about the site, not that we used it, but they did have a really large parking lot that if you were to get there before check-in time of 12, you could kind of stage there, have a place to, sit with your trailer and wait until check-in time, or leave your rig there even, and go into town. So I thought that was a nice amenity.
Check-in is at 12 p.m. and checkout is at 11 a.m. and they were pretty much on top of us at checkout.
11 o'clock, they were like, hey, do you need any help? And we were having some problems. Ruby and Stella were not getting along with the sway bar hitching, which we figured out.
We still made some rookie errors.
Thanks to YouTube, we figured that out. Jen did some research and figured it out. But yeah, 11 o'clock, they were all over us.
But they were super kind. They asked if we needed any help. They literally were willing to give us a hand. And they even gave us more time to figure out our rookie mistakes. And so we're still learning along with you guys.
One of the really cool things, while we're talking here, this is you're going to see below us kind of all the scenery shots that we took. But stunning scenery right from the RV park. Even as soon as you just came around the tree line, beautiful red rocks of Sedona. Two very large features. I think it was Coffee Pot on one side, and I don't know the name of the other one, but very majestic. Really close to a lot of the features of Sedona, right? Oak Creek, Slide Rock was 10-15 minutes away. You know, the Cathedral of the Rocks, that was very close as well. Tlaquepaque, right across the street, like Jen said. Lots of really accessible things that you need to see in Sedona, almost walking distance. In the spring and winter, they would be, including downtown. You could walk up the street and walk.
Oh yeah, it's a really good location to park and walk. In this time of our health crisis in this country, everyone was wearing masks in town. I will say though, for being summer, Sedona was packed Saturday and Sunday, just wall to wall cars and people. Traffic was incredibly heavy. We did not experience heavy traffic on Thursday and Friday, but Saturday and Sunday were lines to get in and out of Sedona.
The other thing to realize about that park is it is in the Sedona area on the creek. It is the only RV park, so it is really busy. So we're talking, I think we made our reservations about 3 or 4 months in advance. And that was, you know, slim pickings as to, especially if we're looking for weekends. So you want to be kind of ahead of schedule as far as booking. They do require a small deposit. It wasn't really significant. They're really nice people that work in the campsite. It's kind of old-fashioned. There is no online booking. It's not like KOA where you can book your site online. You actually have to call or email them, and they're pretty responsive. Mm-hmm. But it is a privately owned RV park, independent. So
yeah, and every site is super well shaded. There's a 10 o'clock strict lights out because they have a dark sky policy in Sedona, so that you can enjoy the gorgeous stars. Unfortunately, the campground is so full of trees, you really couldn't see the stars. And in the summer, it's not unusual to get transient thunderstorms every day. The clouds roll in, the thunder, the lightning, the rain, it either hits or it doesn't, and then it moves right back on out. So don't be shocked if you're in Sedona from out of town and it rains every day while you're there. It's not unusual at all. It feels great, actually.
We were in Oak Creek Canyon on Slide Rock, which was awesome. Temperatures were pretty warm. We were in the high 90s for sure. So the creek was very refreshing. It was also, the water was just frigid, like so ice cold. So, you know, the idea of sliding down a rock is probably great for somebody who's, you know, kind of cold tolerant. I dipped my,
a 10-year-old boy.
10-year-old boy, yeah. I dipped my toe in, I even sat in it, and I was like, okay, that's kind of enough. Our daughter, Hannah, you know, dipped her toes into it and kind of waded through it a little bit, but she wasn't going to go down that either. So, you know, if you've got those little kids, they'll have a great time.
But we were there and we hit the most massive rainstorm, and it kept pouring buckets, literally buckets, and we had to hike all of our stuff out of there. It's about a half a mile walk to the car, uphill. It's not bad. It's very beautiful ground, well maintained, but it was my favorite part of the whole trip. Mm-hmm. Dripping wet in a bathing suit, carrying all your stuff, trekking the mud and everything with the car. It
was awesome. So we'll have pictures of that and some videos scrolling down below us here as we're going through it. But Rancho Sedona in general, great spot for RVing if you can get in. It's in a great location as a launching spot, like we said, to everything else. Campsite, you know, if we're doing the ratings again, I'd probably give it a 4, 4.5. The reason it's not getting a 5 is it didn't have all the amenities that a lot of campsites had. It really had no facilities for little kids. They didn't have camp activities, like no movies. Part of that's probably COVID related, but it was missing a few of the things. But as far as campsites, hookups, quality, cleanliness, support staff, that was all off the charts amazing.
I'd give it a 5. It's everything I want in camping at my age with older kids. Big campsite per trailer, a patio, a table, shade. The location, you can't beat it. It's better than most of the hotel locations. And it's in one of the most gorgeous spots in the world for a really cheap price. So I give it a 5. My favorite campsite site so far.
There was no bears. No bears. Probably the bear traps that we put around our camper really helped.
All right. Welcome back to... Thanks. Subscribe, and we'll be back with another episode soon.
Bears, they're real.
No bears.
They're out there. Bears are real.
Bye.